Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So here's Andrew. So episode 2 of A Good Measure cooking show.
So if I thought better.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's pretty nonchalant. This is like still new to us, but today we're going to be cooking chicken broccoli Alfredo. And this is one of the easiest recipes. I've adulterated it from the Betty Crocker recipe from the 1970s. So only takes 35 minutes, and as you can see, we are actually already cooking the chicken. The recipe Betty Crocker uses actually calls for a rotisserie chicken that you shred up. Why do that when you guys usually have chicken breast in your larder that you can dice up like I'm doing over here, as you can see on this camera, and you can season it with poultry seasoning and cumin, and that's literally going to make it taste just like rotisserie chicken. So we've got this cooking, and then I'm going to take it out. I'm going to just wipe the pan out, and that's what we're going to use to cook our sauce. And then over here, I've got a mostly used box of penne pasta. That's what we're going to use for our pasta. But truthfully, chicken broccoli Alfredo, you can use any pasta you want. I was actually thinking about using the cava tapati. I'm probably saying it wrong. How do you say it, babe?
Cava tappi?
How?
Cava tappi, maybe?
He's Italian, but
Not one I'm familiar with.
But so this is like the corkscrew pasta, and I like using this for when we do our baked mac and cheese. But today we're gonna use the penne pasta, and honestly, it doesn't have to be Barilla. It could be Walmart, Great Value. It could be Tops. It could be whatever pasta you want. As you've noticed when you're cooking your own pasta, some pastas have more starch in the water. That's just because it has to be rinsed before you actually start boiling it. So you'll know as you do your own cooking. This is actually done. But truthfully, it's not required to use anything special. So I'm gonna remove this chicken, wipe out the pan with a paper towel, and we're gonna get this water's almost to boiling point, and then we're gonna start doing the rest of the steps that we need to do. So here we go, guys. All right, so you can see here that I'm done. So I'm going to put this in the sink. I'm just going to remove the chicken with a slatted spoon, just like this. This spoon I actually use a lot for my canning, or when I make pie filling, and then I can that. But this is just a great slatted spoon. And there's no way I can endorse anybody's product because, truthfully, I have taken advantage of the free sites in our neighborhood so many times, or I've just gone to yard sales. So I'm not a big endorsement fool anyways. So I'm gonna put this over here, and the chicken's gonna sit right here. And you can see, hopefully you can see, this water is still boiling. So all I'm gonna do is take this over to the sink. I'm just gonna dump it. And then, as you can see, it's still hot, but I'm just going to wipe the pan. Put my garbage can over here. And then just wipe the pan. When you're cooking, there's really no sense in taking, 5-6 pans to cook one meal. Good recipes are written in such a way that the steps are step by step. So you're actually either reusing measuring cups or you're using the same pans over. So you're just like doing a wipeout. And you can see it's clean. It's sitting, so the stovetop is off and it's just sitting on top here. Because right now we're about to throw in the pasta. So there goes the pasta. I probably have too much milk or water in there, so I'm going to remove a little bit. So we're going to give this pasta a good stir. And I chose this spoon specifically because I'm going to use that for my sauce. Alright, so this is going to cook al dente. We gotta get it to boiling, which I use salted water, by the way, everybody. Alright, so I'm going to set this down. Here's my chicken. Put the gloves over here. Alright, so right now I hope you can see this. We're actually going to mince some garlic. So the way I do it, that I've learned from watching a lot of the European chefs and just you know, from my own experience, my own, you know, history with cooking, is smack it, give it a good smack so that it's easy to peel. You're not smashing the garlic, you're just smacking it to loosen this outer skin. When you're actually planting your garlic, which if you bought garlic from the store, you can plant it. When you're planting your garlic, you actually leave the skin on it. But it's not easily removed. I'm sure many of you have experienced that in your own cooking trials. And here's something good for you to see. This is called a wart. And it's a piece that you just cut the little sliver out and it's still okay. So that's going to go in our sauce. We're just waiting on the water to boil here. And I'm going to be using my garlic press to mince it. We're going to be using 2 cups of heavy cream. Like I said, I'm not endorsing here. I bought this from Aldi's because it was cheaper than Walmart this week. Sometimes Tops is cheaper. Sometimes Burn Dairy brand is cheaper. I have never found a whipping cream that's better than the other than when I'm making a dairy-free frosting and people specifically say they want that whipped flavor. So then I'll use the dairy-free country crock. So other than that, I always use coconut milk. You can make this recipe completely dairy-free, by the way, which instead of using butter, you'd use the, I believe it's the Land O'Lakes that we use, the avocado butter. Instead of using a heavy whipping cream, you would eat, like I said, you'd use the country crock dairy-free or you'd use coconut milk. Instead of using Parmesan cheese, you'd end up using Tafudi shredded cheese, which is like a cashew cheese. Now, if you're allergic to nuts, obviously you wouldn't use that. You could actually use a kind of cheese-like flavored tofu. They sell that. It's really expensive. I don't recommend it just because I don't like it. But you guys might. But also, if you wanted to make it completely vegan, you can do that too, because you can replace the chicken with tofu or you can replace it with beans. So as we're waiting on this water to boil, something the Lord showed me today. Waiting. And Isaiah 40:31 says, or no, Isaiah 40:13 says. So as we're waiting on the pasta to boil, you know, there's this ladies' Bible study I've been doing with my church, which is Calvary Chapel of the Finger Lakes. They were part of the Jesus movement, by the way, back in the 70s. So this morning from my Charles Spurgeon devotionals, morning and evening, Isaiah 30:18, therefore will the Lord wait, that he may be gracious unto you. Now, I read that this morning and I was like, what? But Spurgeon talks about all the reasons why the Lord waits to answer our prayers. And this really struck me. So this is what Spurgeon says. If you've been knocking at the gate of mercy and have received no answer, shall I tell you why the mighty Maker has not opened the door and let you in? Our Father has reasons known only to himself for thus keeping us waiting. And sometimes it's to show us his power and his sovereignty so that men might know that Jehovah has a right to give or to withhold. Kind of like, I believe it's in Ecclesiastes, and it says, he giveth and he taketh away. But also, more frequently to delay for our profit. Perhaps you are kept waiting in order that your desires may be more fervent, so that you're continually asking our Father, Abba, Father, please answer my prayer. And that if he keeps you waiting, you will, God knows that the delay will quicken and increase to desire, and that if he keeps you waiting, you will see your need more clearly, and will seek him earnestly. So day and night. That's something that really, really convicts me, because I think about our little one, Penny, and putting this on for 8 minutes. I think about our little one, Penny, and she's so earnest about asking, Mama, can I? Mama, can we? Mama, today can we? And she is so assured, and she knows so well that Mama will try to come through, but she keeps asking. And that's what Jesus said. The door's open, and when I knock, if you invite me in, I will come into you, and you will come into me, and we will commune together. So Jesus is always asking us to keep asking. And most of the time, as we continue to ask and ask, but every day when we're in his word, he's growing us up. And most of the time, our desires change to meet his love for us. And we mature. So it's like, if you've waited 6 months, that was 6 months you were growing up in the Lord. What's another thing? This gets even better. He knows also that you will prize the mercy all the more for its long delay. Like I just said. That there may also be something wrong in you that needs to be removed before the joy of the Lord is given. So it's like, there's a bunch of times in Psalms where it says, search me, O Lord, and remove any unrighteousness. Remove anything that grieves you. Perhaps your views of the gospel are confused, or you may be placing some reliance on yourself instead of trusting simply and entirely on the Lord Jesus. Or God makes you wait for a while so that he may be more fully displayed in the riches of his love and his grace to you at last. Your prayers are all filed in heaven, and if not immediately answered, they are certainly not forgotten. In a little while they may be fulfilled to your delight and satisfaction, but do not despair. But do not let despair make you silent, but continually and faithfully in earnest supplication. So, waiting on the Lord is such a blessing, but it's so hard, and it's tough, but it's a race that we're running, and we're running it with Jesus pulling us ahead. Like, we know our sin is always in front of us, but we have to remember that Jesus is in front of that. So, waiting for the pasta to boil. And that's something I've done in my cooking. That's somewhere where the Lord has taken me. As I'm cooking or baking or I'm making something for somebody, I begin to pray. And whether it's for them or myself or somebody else, or I'm just like, Lord, this is what's going on today. He's waiting to answer, but we have to keep knocking at heaven's gate, because it's a door that's filled with mercy, and it's once we go home, all of this is gone, and we're going to be so blessed. So there's that for you today. All right, so the pasta is cooking down to 8 minutes here. It's like starting to boil. I'm sorry if my hand was in the way. The last 3 minutes of the boiling, I'm actually going to add the chopped up broccoli here. And I want you to see it. The broccoli is like this size. It's, nothing crazy. So now we can actually start the sauce. butter. So I'm going to turn this on medium. And we're going to start to melt the butter. So once that gets a little bit melty, that's when I'm going to throw in the minced garlic. We're going to add the cheese and the cream, and we're going to get that cooked down. See, we're coming down to the last 3.5 minutes, and then we're going to throw the broccoli in. So all that's going to do is like blanch the broccoli and brighten it. So it'll be very colorful, but it's not going to be like mushy. I know we filmed before when we made chicken stir fry with my canned vegetables. Sitting in a jar a long time, they're going to be mushy. That's not the plan here. We want nice, crisp vegetables. Don't forget to drink your water, guys. Alright, so we're going to add these. And just stir it right into the pasta. You can kind of see it's already got a beautiful green color to it. And we've got this melting. I'm going to turn that up a little bit. And I'm going to grab a colander. So if you guys don't want to mince your garlic, Walmart actually sells jars of minced garlic, and it's just garlic and water. I would recommend something like that. It doesn't have to be Walmart brand. You can buy it from wherever you want, but just so you know, that garlic comes from outside the United States, so you're not actually supporting any local farmers. I think I've told you guys a couple of times that if you buy produce that especially garlic that isn't rooted, even onions, you don't see the roots on it, that's coming from outside the United States. Alright, so this, you can see the butter here is just about melted. So I'm going to turn that down, right down to medium, and I'm going to start mincing my garlic into it. So I brought over my knife, and I'll show you why. So you mince your garlic, and you press it through the presser, and you can see it's still got garlic pieces on it. I just do that. You can actually, standing over top of this saucepan right now, you can smell the fragrance. So that means this garlic has bloomed, and it's going to make the sauce taste really good. And I just like scrape off the pieces here. You can see the pieces of garlic. You don't want your butter to burn. You see it's starting to brown. That means the heat's up too high. That's not something that you want. You don't want browned butter in this recipe. Let's see how this pasta feels. That's pretty al dente. That's good.
I really wish you guys could have smell-o-vision right now.
So I'm going to leave it right here for a minute because I actually have to start adding the other ingredients right now. So now we're going to add the heavy cream. So that's 2 cups. Some recipe says that it has to sit out on the countertop. I think that's your call. So now that I've added the cream, I can actually turn it up because we want it to get to a bubbling but not a boil. And I will explain that as I'm cooking this. But I'm going to take this now and drain it. I'm just going to let that drain out and put it right back here. So you can see this. So now I'm going to add more garlic powder, and so we're going to add garlic powder, black pepper, I like to add paprika, but that's your call. And we're going to put some parsley. So again, no endorsement here. I just want you to know these spices came from the dollar store. Oh, I'm sorry, the $1.25 store. They came from Walmart. They came from Tops. They came from Aldi's. So there's really no endorsement there. Alright, so this is probably going to take about 10 to 12 minutes, but we're going to turn it up to where it gets to bubble and simmer because we want it to thicken. If it doesn't thicken to what you like, this is what I would suggest, using xanthan gum.
Mama, want to hire you to play Academy?
Yeah, we can
Give me a
change it in a
second.
minute.
Give me a second.
I want you to play Academy.
Okay, we can change it in a minute. This is what I would suggest, using xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is not only gluten-free, but it's also called glucine. You'll see a lot of recipes that actually call for glucine. That's what this is. Xanthan gum is like the main ingredient of bubble gum. It's a great thickener. You don't need much for it, and it's great for gluten-free baking because if you find a gluten-free flour that does not have a type of baking powder or xanthan gum, that's when you put it in. But it's great for thickening. If it doesn't thicken to what I like, that's when I would use that. So that's kind of just sitting there. This takes about 10 minutes. So you can see it's bubbling. And when I stir it, it quits bubbling, as you can see from the camera above the saucepan. But when I stop, you can see that it's bubbling. This is what's considered a simmer. So I'm gonna turn it down now because it's right where it needs to be. So I'm gonna turn it just above medium. You gotta love your littles coming in and asking, and then just the fact that they're right here is just amazing. So I'm really blessed to have late in life kids. When I was with my second husband, I married him right after my son died when he was 13. And at that point, my daughter, who's now my oldest child, she was 9. And I just went through a horrific depression after that. I was not in the Lord. I was nowhere close to Him. But I literally laid in bed for about 4 to 5 years. And gained a ton of weight. Was in and out of depression. It was a horrific time for me. And I remember I prayed to a God I didn't believe in, that if He would give me another child or something like that. But this is the thing. The Lord answered those prayers and went above and beyond, because I had actually suffered ovarian cancer. I only had one ovary, and the Lord delivered me from that when I wasn't even in Christ. And I had actually met my husband Andrew when I was going through the chemotherapy. I was taking the pill for him. And when we got together in a sinful relationship, because we weren't married at that point, I told him that we would never have kids. And I explained why, and he's like, "Oh, that's okay." Because he had said he had settled on his life of never having kids. And it's amazing. We were living together as friends, but then we started dating, so it was like official there. And I had just started coming to Christ, and the Lord blessed us with Penny. And then I want to say not even a couple of, maybe 4 or 5 months after Penny was born, I got pregnant with Prissy. So an OBGYN specialist, who I had been given a loop because of the cancer, like a loop of my cervix. I had one ovary. I was treated numerous times for polycystic ovarian disease and ovarian cancer in the fallopian tube. I would say he was wrong, but the greatest physician of all time was right. He can do anything above and beyond than we ever dreamed possible. He is mighty to save, and he loves giving to his children. And he's long suffering us as long as it takes for us to come on board with him. He's still there waiting. Just makes it like I'm smiling just thinking about it. So the camera pointing down at the stove right now. You can see it's thickening, and you can see it's thickening, and I can tell you why. Some people might be confused about thickness. As I'm dragging this away, you can see the bottom of the pan. That's proof that the sauce is thickening, and that's proof that it's getting to where it needs to be. I didn't actually set a timer because as I was talking and stirring, you can actually feel the thickness on your ladle here. But so you can see that every time I drag it, you can actually see the bottom of the pan, and the bottom of the pan is showing you that the thickness between the fat and the butter and the fat and the cream. It's actually creating, like, as it cooks down, the starches and the fat are the starches and the calcium and the fat are being cooked out, and it creates this thickness. And you can begin to see like a skin on top of the sauce cooking. So this right now would almost be like what a béarnaise sauce would look like, but we want it to go a little bit further because we want it to really stick to this pasta. And when it says 10 minutes, give it that 10 minutes. Give it that waiting time. Keep stirring and just wait and give it a chance to become the sauce that it needs to become, because it will thicken up. One thing about these vintage recipes, and I only adulterate them because that's just me. I have just seen where I would like it to be more tasty or savory. One thing about these recipes, these vintage recipes, one, they're written by people that actually cooked. And two, they're perfect for your family because this is less than 35 minutes. You're going to have a meal here that serves 6 people.
And it's quite affordable too.
And affordable too, because like I said, Betty Crocker said, rotisserie chicken. Well, in the 60s and the 70s, rotisserie chickens were huge. Huge. People were buying them all the time. You could go to a store and buy an entire rotisserie chicken for less than $2. Well, that's not the case today, but that recipe is awesome. So what can you do? Well, you can actually buy bags of chicken breast. They're not as thick as the ones that you get in the store, but it's a hell of a lot less. So you're looking at getting, oh, this is just about ready. So you're looking at getting, I'm about ready to turn this down, you know, an entire bag of, I just turned it off by the way, an entire bag of chicken breasts with probably like 30 breasts inside of it that are easy to cut up, like I did here. Yeah, this is a bag we got from Walmart, and it's 8 pounds. Normally I get the one from Aldi's, and they just didn't happen to have it. They're both about the same price. I think this one is $5 more. So they're portioned out with rib meat. So you actually have to cut, you know, you'll have to cut the rib sinew out, which unfortunately a lot of people don't know. So now we're gonna add the Parmesan cheese. So let's say you did not have shredded Parmesan. My husband actually bought the wrong Parmesan cheese. Let's say you just had the shaky cheese. Absolutely fine to use. So we're gonna add the Parmesan now. That was probably about a 1/4 cup. I didn't measure because I'm not really a measurer. You can follow this recipe to the T. So look, see, I turned the heat off and it immediately melted. And now we're gonna add the chicken.
One of the long-term goals I want to do is to be able to actually post the recipes for each video at somewhere online. Even if it's just a screenshot of the picture of the recipe.
So as you can see, it's still melty, it's gooey, it's yummy goodness. Now the next step is pretty simple. You're gonna take, so some people actually just, you know, pour it right over the pasta. We don't do that. We just add it. Oh! There's always messes in our kitchen. So I'm actually gonna take my, where's my big spoon? There it is. So I'm gonna take my big spoon here and I'm just gonna drag back and forth. So one thing really cool about this meal, and why we decided to film this today, was simply because I get commissioned a couple of times a month to make meals for people. And my chicken Alfredo is something people really, really love. They really love this recipe. So you want to go grab a black container and a lid? Two
of them? Or just
so one thing we do, like I said, one thing we do is we make individual meals for people. And that really blesses me because there's a lot of times I have leftovers. And there's a couple people in our neighborhood that I love to feed. I hate hearing when people are eating TV dinners. Grandma Gal, I'm talking about you if you're watching this. So, we'll end up giving people meals. But this meal was actually for my friend Beth Long. And last week was a really hard week for me. And she's just been so patient. I thank you so much, Beth. So we're going to be portioning these out into black containers. And she's going to get a couple. And I think we're going to bless our friend Art, besides Grandma Gail. And maybe Mommy and Daddy and Prissy will have a lovely meal today for lunch. So these containers, I'm sure you guys seen them before. You know, like maybe you even bought them for yourself. They're just black containers. That's it. When I used to sell my dinners constantly, that's something that, you know, we would buy, which we still do. So I'm going to move this over here off the heat so that it doesn't continue to cook. And portion it out. This lovely meal for Beth. And give some to Art and Grandma Gail too.
But at least some for me.
I said that. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Make sure we get some, oh my goodness, look at this.
I'm gonna make a good lunch. Did you need one more
Put a
container
little
for
extra. And make sure we garnish it with some parsley flakes. Like I said, $1.25 brand. And there you have it. Look at that meal. So that's it, folks. That's literally, I think we did that in less than 20 minutes. I don't know. There was a lot of banter, though.
Yeah.
But chicken broccoli Alfredo.
You can maybe add what?
As you can see, the size of this pot, I mean, the size of this saucepan, I didn't dirty too many dishes. You know, I think, oh no, the other camera can't, I mean, because we got like this, you know, these things. There was some prior cooking, like I showed you, we were cooking the chicken in the same pot. And then we did the broccoli. I cut up the broccoli previously that you saw, but you don't want humongous pieces. But this will easily feed a family of 6.
Right.
And there's a lot of times that people will call me up and ask me to make like a 9x13 meal. And this actually fits an entire 9x13 pan. And I'll usually make an artisan sourdough bread and a side for them. And my artisan sourdough bread, no kneading, no sourdough starter, 3 hours to raise, and 40 minutes to cook. So thank you for joining us today, guys. But thanks for joining us today, guys. And I hope you come next time. And just wait on the Lord. There's this song that we actually sing at church. It's called, "We will wait, wait, wait on the Lord. We will wait, wait, wait on the Lord. Learn our lessons well. In His timing, He will tell us where to go, what to do, and what to say." And wouldn't it just be amazing if Jehovah was that cloud during the day and the fire by night, and all we did was just said, "Let's go, Lord." So, love you guys. Farmington, New York, it's raining and cold, but wherever you are today, I hope you're warm and the Lord's blessing you. Bye.